So, Christianity, you're a Protestant, correct?
Well, I consider myself a kind of Catholic.
Oh, yeah, because
I am
it's complicated.
I studied Martin Luther in college. I went to a Catholic school for 3 years. My mom was a Catholic. I have a very complicated religious kind of pathway that I've taken. So I would, but go ahead, Protestant.
Well, no, and I would love for you to take us through. We actually did a story on it. We didn't talk to you about it, but we sort of pieced together your background.
Oh, you did?
A couple years ago, yeah. I'll have to tweet it to you. It's very interesting. I will tweet the link.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I probably need to learn.
I guess the question for me is, what does being a Christian mean to you?
Interestingly, it doesn't necessarily mean community in the way that a lot of Christians embrace each other. To me, it's a very personal thing. It's in some ways about sublimating my logos, and just knowing that in the quiet moments of my life, I feel less alone. And I really embrace the idea of forgiveness as one of the most important values that humanity can leverage in terms of cultivating progress of any kind. Forgiveness is really the ball game on this planet, and so I like that fundamental principle in Christianity. There's an awful lot of the Bible, which I've read cover to cover, that I find that doesn't have any resonance for me in my life, the logic of which doesn't connect with me at all. And yet there's, my daughter wanted to read it the other day, and I read her Genesis. And as a science-loving person who understands what the political arguments are, God, I loved reading it to her. I loved feeling it. And I hate the fact that that certain ideas have been grabbed and used for war and for killing and for suppression and for divisiveness. I hate that. But some of the language and some of the emotions and some of the ideas, boy, they're hard to beat. And if you really read the Bible and then you look everywhere, and certainly in American literature and culture and history, it's shocking to see how prevalent the Bible is. And people don't want to, have a knee-jerk reaction and don't want to see that. And I'm not advocating that fact. I'm just saying
it's the reality. You're saying it's the presence of the Bible.
McDonald's commercials. You're like, really?
So, I mean, for you, is the Bible something that you still sort of work through and where you stand on different pieces of it? Is it something, I think for a lot of Christians, it's an ongoing process. Is it something you've sort of landed on where you know what you think is literal and what's not? Where are you sort of in that realm?
Well, a Catholic priest friend of mine handed me the Apocrypha.
Yes.
Do you know what the Apocrypha is? For those of you watching the place who don't know what the Apocrypha is, I didn't know what it was. So there's the Bible that's this thick, and then there's the Apocrypha, which is this thick. And this is all the stuff that was cut out of the Bible over the last 2,000 years. And when you can see that this much stuff was in there that got cut out and there's that much that's left, it gives you a sense of context not to feel like a slave. And not to feel scared by other people in what to think or believe or feel. Whether it's Bill Maher, who's this cripplingly, intellectually abusive atheist. My father's an atheist. I would love to talk to Bill Maher about his atheism because
I'm sure he'd love to have you on.
I would love to do that because I think he does a disservice.
You hear that, Bill Maher?
Bill, I think you do a disservice to intellectuals with your excessive need to promote atheism. Think that'll get me on the show?
Well, I think that's. What drives that, though?
I think he does a disservice to atheists.
I think a lot of atheist activists, a lot of atheists would say that the activist realm does do a disservice to them.
Well, people are certainly free to promote what they think and feel, and I certainly think a lot of what Bill Maher says makes a lot of sense. But to kind of dismiss a feeling that millions of people are having is it's just not very generous of spirit.
But the Gospels per se, right? Does that message?
I studied the English Bible as literature. Professor Batten at UCLA. My wife and I spent a summer reading the entire King James Version of the Bible from beginning to end. We actually got Alexander Skirby's audio version of the Bible, and we read and highlighted and went through every word of the Bible, but not as revealed truth, as a work put down by human beings. And I found it terribly inspiring and interesting and off-putting. But as a work of revealed truth, I don't think I'm a good enough Christian to comment.